Hey everybody, welcome back to Out of the Ordinary with Jay, and today I'm with
Jordan,
and Jordan. How old are you?
29.
Okay, so I'm with 29-year-old Jordan today, and we're going to talk about a topic that is keeps coming back to me because I see it so much with just kind of out in the world, and then also people that are kind of close to me, and it's self-sabotage. And what I mean is like harming yourself. So like why is it so common that people self sabotage or engage in harmful habits when an obvious better choice exists? Why does everyone I've ever met often do important things that are seemingly the opposite of what's beneficial for themselves? So that's kind of the overall topic, but I'll start with this question like, why do you think humans so often make choices that harm them even when better options seem obvious?
Um, Partially it could be because they're afraid of the change and it's easier to stay the same.
Devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yes. I think also too, you might get more of a dopamine hit from certain actions than others. So, well, if I know not to drink alcohol, like, well, it gives me dopamine and I get to go have a good time with my friends, even though I feel like shit the next day and can't get as much done and don't go to the gym.
So even though it's harmful long term, that immediate hit is worth it.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, or seemingly worth it. Yeah.
And then also, I think it can be deep down kind of a self-esteem issue. People don't feel like they're worth doing that, or they
like
don't
I
think
deserve
actually,
this.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They don't think they're going to be successful at it, so why even try? Even though they might not actually face those thoughts or process them that way coherently at the front of their mind, subconsciously that can be the case.
So in other words, even though it might be obvious to everybody else, maybe it's not obvious to that person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I never really thought about it that way. Sure. In other words, like where everybody around the person can be like, geez, look at Ted, and it's so obvious. Like, why doesn't he get it? Ted's own mind might not be seeing it in a way that, oh wow, he might be too deep in, or just
justifying it. It's like everybody's trying to tell you, hey, this person's not good for you. And it's like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. They have so many more details wrapped up in their head that they don't want to realize that for themselves. They kind of have to go through that process because they have it worked out in their head already that it's not that bad, even though everybody else can see. Maybe it's kind of like that.
Right. Well, like, so why do you think maybe we are drawn sometimes to the short-term comfort when it often leads to long-term harm? Is it just that dopamine hit, or is it
some of it's instant gratification? And I think we're getting more and more hooked on stuff like that because we are getting to where things are more and more short form content and
TLDR?
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want to. We're not used to doing the long term work. We don't have to go out and hunt for food. We can go buy it. We don't have to go and not see anybody but our own family for a month at a time because we only live in this one tribe, and you're never going to see another female again. You can go on a dating app and see 50 of them within 2 minutes, things like that. You don't have to, we're not used to putting in that long haul effort anymore.
This is a good place for me to insert the clip of our previous conversation, so I'll do that. But yeah, it's almost like it's like evolutionary wiring gone wrong, sort of sometimes. Like as an example, we all love, or not we all, but most people really, really love sugar and desserts and cakes and stuff, right? And you would eat that all day long
One of them,
if it wasn't bad for you, right? But it's bad for you. So it's almost like, our nature's wiring is not helpful sometimes in this, maybe. I don't know.
Whereas it once was maybe evolutionary or evolvement, and when there was a good reason that we had that there, it's now being hijacked by something else. And to be honest, there's a lot of things we understand quite a bit about ourselves, our psychology, so much so to the point that marketing for things has taken a hold of it and can easily brainwash and influence. Yeah. And I don't think people realize just how heavily influenced we are, and so it gets real easy to become a victim of that when you can't avoid it.
There's a great book like way long ago, like 30s or 50s, called Propaganda, and he basically outlines, and he was the one who came up with, he made cigarettes like very big and all that stuff, but now we live in an age where it's propaganda times 10 times 100, and then on steroids to boot. Yeah, big challenge for our brain to keep up with that.
Yeah, we can't evolve as fast as we've been able
not
to.
Even close. No, it's beyond us, and we're seeing what's happening as a consequence. What about so we're talking about self-sabotage and people harming themselves. Do you think like emotions have something to do with that? Like, you think people act against their own best interest because emotions maybe sometimes override rational thinking?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are emotional creatures. I know
Right.
people, want to say, "Well, I'm more logical," and it's like, well, logically, emotions are a factor. So you always should consider emotions
Right.
because you're an emotional being. That's just logically the reasonable thing to
Right.
process. So yeah, and maybe sometimes too because it creates an easier challenge instead of not doing the harmful thing. So it's like, hey, I'm going to be put up against something I have to fix. I can deal with the hangover a lot easier and get over that. That's a shorter term goal accomplishment than
Right.
going alcohol free for 30 days and working on my fitness or whatever it
Right.
is.
So like when I hear this, I was thinking maybe somebody that's in a relationship where one partner is very, very abusive, and they don't leave because he or she loves me, right? That's kind of like an emotional response. Yeah, but the
Yeah.
actions are showing the complete opposite of that.
Right.
Literally 24/7,
to the people that
every
are
single
removed.
day, right? So I think emotions can get in the way.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So
well,
you go ahead.
also a trauma bonding is very much a thing.
Mm.
So I don't.
What do you mean by trauma bonding?
It's kind of tends to be a narcissistic personality disorder characteristic. Not always. There's other people that do this, but basically, you kind of the more abusive partner will create kind of some traumatizing thing to happen, a big fight or whatever, and then it really makes the person a really emotional, kind of fall apart. The person that's more on the victim side of things. Um, Not that both sides are not going to be toxic because usually they are, but there's usually one more toxic than the other. And then once that trauma kind of comes to a close, they bring that person comfort. So they kind of end up brainwashing this person. Knock them down, I'll help build you back up. Knock them down, I'll help build you back up. So you get bonded to that person,
right?
And you get
the boyfriend that punches his girlfriend in the face and then brings her roses the next morning,
right?
Kind
of, basically. Yeah. So you kind of ends up traumatizing that person, but also you're rewiring their brain to literally get reliant on that person bringing the victim comfort, basically.
Right. So, in other words, now instead of seeing this person as my abuser, I'm seeing it as my comfort person.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So
that's a pretty wicked piece of psychology there.
But
I have seen that. But
yeah.
I just have never heard it expressed that way. That's a pretty good way of looking at it.
It's literal brainwashing. It's really unfortunate.
So do you think emotions are a bug in the system or a necessary survival feature? Or both, maybe.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a bug. I think we have them for a reason. And I also think too, there's some people that lack them. I think there's a place, at least in society, a long time ago, for people that were psychopathic or sociopathic that lacked that empathy or some of those things, because they could be the ones that were maybe a little more able to defend their tribe. They didn't have to feel so bad about killing somebody because like they were protecting their family.
Yeah, that's like on what's the movie? Oh my gosh, with Tom Cruise. A Few Good Men, where he's like, "You need me on this wall." Like, you remember that? Anyway,
I haven't seen it. But
great movie. Anyways, it's basically talking about how like sometimes you need a certain type of military person that will go and do the killing because you're unwilling to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Type of situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so like, how can you tell when someone's emotions might be steering them wrong, or can you? I don't even know.
I think when it starts to become they're delving into harmful things and based on the logic of some emotional reasoning. So maybe like this person, like, hey, this person, they cheat on you, they lie to you, they don't make you feel good, they're kind of taking advantage of you, any one of unhealthy things. But I love this person and I care about them, and they're just going through a hard time and they've had a bad past and this and that. And it's like, okay, well, if you're keeping yourself attached to these toxic things because of the emotions that you have involved in this situation, I think that's a clear indicator that it's steering them wrong. Now, whether or not they're going to see it that way, that's another thing. I think it becomes more convoluted for them because they're in it. It's easier for bystanders to say. Yeah, what I've seen in self-sabotage a lot or enough. I mean, first of all, self-sabotage takes a lot of different things, right? It could be, you could be, eating certain things you shouldn't eat that are harmful for you, right? If you're diabetic and you're, eating a certain way, or if you're, you have a
family history of alcoholism, and then you're drinking all the time, right? I mean, there's all these other things, but like as it relates to like partnering, like what was I going to say? Oh shoot, when someone's like being steered wrong. Oh, it's like when all of the people around you can see it, right? Your family who loves you, right? You were one of the brothers or sisters in this family. The mother, everybody sees it. Your closest friends see it, and yet someone will still choose to go with the harmful behavior,
Yeah.
even in spite of all the loved ones
All
that
the
have known them
evidence.
forever, telling them. That's amazing to me. I mean, anyway, but do you think you brought up earlier change, like that? You know, the devil we know versus the devil we
Yeah.
know. Do you think fear of the unknown explains why some people do stick with harmful habits?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can say that for myself. I mean, there's been times where it's like I don't really want to change things because, what if this, what if that?
Right.
And, I've got friends here, or I'm comfortable here, or I got this going on and I kind of like this, or I'm okay with this. And what if it gets so much worse? But like, what if it gets so much better though? You just really know. And
Yeah.
to be honest, it's just going to be different. There's still going to be good. There's still going to be bad. There's going to be discomfort. But I think change is inevitable. So
Yeah, what you just said though made me think of. I think it may be possible that people find harm, even though it's not good for you, more predictable than the help they may or may not get. And there's a weird comfort,
Yes.
sort of in
Yes.
knowing
I agree.
what you know what I mean. It's a
Yeah.
weird. Anyway, how much do you think self-sabotage or self-harm is about identity and self-image? Meaning, like, almost like if somebody had been my family or somebody had been telling me for a long time about a certain, hey, this habit's been really bad for you. Like, you really need to stop this habit. And then eventually I stop it. It's almost like I have to like.
Well, who am I now?
Well,
what do I do?
Who am I? An identity crisis, but also I have to listen whether I actually say it or not to 20 I told you so's.
Yeah.
Right? Even though they may never say it. Maybe they're awesome people. A little bit. But it's like, so I think a lot of that kind of happens too. In other words, like I'm going to still engage in this self-sabotage because if I have to cop to what has been wrong, I have to take all of it. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, I think that, and that can be really startling for some people. They don't want to admit that. And, you get so far down a path and then it's like, well, shoot, I've been going the wrong direction. Now I got to go all the way back. People don't want to face that.
Yeah,
I think they want to power through it, and maybe they think, oh, I can figure it out. I can do this or that. And it's like, it's fine to just turn around.
Yeah. I mean, I think where people get stuck is if they've dug a 20-foot hole, digging another foot is a lot easier than climbing out of 20 feet of hole.
Yep.
So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think people with a low self-worth, do you think self-worth makes people believe they don't deserve better choices sometimes? Like, in other words, if someone has a lower self-image, maybe like, well, this is the best I could get, or maybe I deserve, if somebody's being mean to me, or if I deserve this poor health or whatever it is. You think that's something, like, can someone's self-image kind of become a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah, I think absolutely. People think that they've maybe had a parent or somebody growing up, got bullied a lot, and they have unfortunately been convinced that even if they might practically know that in their forefront of their mind, that's still deep down can kind of hardwire. Or if you just feel like you've been through a lot of crap, you'd be like, well, my life's always going to be kind of like this.
Right.
I can't change my expectations too much.
If it's always been crap, you wouldn't even know what to look for probably after a period of time.
Yeah, you kind of just get to where you're stuck in this cycle of things are always going to be crap. And
how do you think someone breaks that loop, breaks that cycle? You almost have to.
I think it's really important to get a change of environment. I think, if you always go into the same room and do the same things in that room, it's going to become human nature. It's going to become a force of habit. I mean, it is human nature. So I think getting out, it's like when you move into a new place, and so you set up new habits when you move. It's a little bit easier to establish those new habits because you're not in the same environment. You're not in the same realm of comfort. It's like, well, I'm already used to doing things differently. The cups are over here now instead of this, and it's closer to the blender, so maybe I'll make a smoothie instead of getting something out of the freezer, So I think change of environment is good. Even if you can't just get up and move, I think going someplace different, going to a different workout class, going to a different gym.
Walk.
Yeah, I think that's important. And then also being around different perspectives, listening to something different, listen to a different podcast, listen to a different topic, literally just those little different changes, I think, can all add up, and that can help break some of that cycle. And also find some success stories. Like, if you're like, I've been stuck in this, toxic relationship and this and that, and go listen to the people that have been through it and that got out on the other side. Yeah, I think that is so important.
Those are all really good ideas. One of the things I have thought on this, how would someone break the loop, is like, I love your ideas. I think those are both very useful. My own experience that I've seen is that very often the loop doesn't get broken until some sort of rock bottom is hit.
Yeah.
In other words, it may be obvious 100%. To everybody, they've been told, but until they actually feel an immense weight of pain,
it's like,
personally,
it's going to be shitty regardless.
Right.
Might as well do something different.
Then they make the change. And it's a weird thing about us humans. Even though we're very good at forecasting, we know what the history is, it's obvious to everybody else, it seems more often than not, until we actually hit a rock bottom that is really painful and really bad, we don't make a move.
Yeah.
It's weird. Anyway,
I think our psychology's been hacked.
Yeah, we still engage in the same self-sabotage. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any like hidden payoffs or hidden benefits that kind of keep people self-sabotaging?
Like
comfort, as in the devil I know versus the devil I don't, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, a hidden advantage, I guess, is like, well, you could be somebody that is the most reliable because it's easy to know that you're going to do the same thing over and over again. So maybe there's a hidden advantage there. It's like, oh, well, I know this person's going to be at the same bar every Friday at 7 p.m. because they're an alcoholic. Right.
You also mentioned it earlier. You said, one of the hidden benefits is like, a dopamine hit. That can be that can be for sure a hidden benefit,
but that can also get burnt out too, to where it slowly doesn't hit the same. But
yeah.
I don't know that there's
I wonder how we uncover those hidden payoffs, because that'd be important for people to like, that are sort of self-diagnosing, or even if they were going to see a professional to try to figure out, like, okay,
why do I do this?
Like, if I know that this is harmful behavior to myself, if I know I am self-sabotaging and I continue to do so, why? Because people would not do it if they were not getting something out of it. That's human psychology. So, like, I think identifying what you're actually getting out of it, paying close attention to that, and then, like, is that really worth what I might get? And
that's going to be to everybody, it's an individual thing, but finding out, it's like, why do I do what I do? And sometimes it's like, it can be a compulsive thing. Like, for some people, quitting smoking, it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not that it's not addictive and there's a chemical factor there, but it's also just the fact that you're used to going out and taking a break.
Right.
And having something between your fingers and getting used to that. And or your vape too, if you're vaping all the time, you get used to that action of constantly having something to, and then on top of that, you associate that act of smoking or vaping with the feeling of relaxation and, something that's
self-fulfilling
soothing.
Prophecy. It kind of comes into a,
So, there's multiple factors there, and some of it's mental, some of it's physical, some of it's the chemical balances. So finding out and understanding that even if it's just food, it's not like, oh, it tastes good and I enjoy that. It's like, your body can literally just get addicted to the sugar and get that chemical fix somewhere inside your body and your blood sugar, and you get a boost of energy or whatever it is.
Right.
And so just realizing that you're going to have some of those changes and asking yourself, what are those realistically? And then
you described cigarette smoking like to a T, right? You get the it definitely calms a person down. It's an anti-anxiety big time.
Yeah.
But you're going to get lung cancer, probably for sure, and maybe throat cancer. Like, you know what I mean? So it's that short-term versus long-term sort of thinking. Do you think that culture, like society, normalizes harmful behaviors so they kind of feel like natural in any way?
Yeah. And I'm kind of partake in it too, but I think alcohol, I hear more and more how terrible it is for you, and that it contributes just 1 or 2 glasses a week or something like that can raise your risk of getting breast cancer or whatever other health issue. So much so, and it's so normalized and it's so easy to access, and I think at least in the US. And then there's other cultures and there's certain religions and stuff that really frown upon that make it easier to steer clear from that because they do have that element of shame around it.
I think I agree with you. I was thinking of like workaholics, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
in this country,
something
for
that's
sure. It's
kind
like
of glorified.
it's like, oh yeah, oh, you only work 60 hours a week, you only work 50 hours a week, right? You say that in certain parts of Europe, they're like, wow, you're crazy, right? And so,
but it's normalized because we're in America, we only get 2 weeks off, and we don't get that. Like we're basically programmed that way, whereas other countries they do have more time, and they think that we're crazy and that we're just after money. And it's like, don't get me wrong, there's some people that don't like that, but that's just the culture here. I'm not saying it's right,
it is
but
interesting
that's how we've learned to function and live over here. I'm not saying we can't make changes, but at the same time, I think we need to figure out how to do it, because if we just gave everybody 2 months off the year, our society would kind of collapse because we don't figure out how to adjust with that. Right. Whereas over there, they already have their routines in place.
Do you think that self-sabotage is a matter of like willpower or lack thereof?
No, I think that's only part of the battle. I think sometimes, depending on what it is, I mean, you might need to have some chemical interference. So for some people, like smoking, that can be taking like a smoking cessation drug or like a nicotine patch or you know, whatever it is. So while I'd like to naively think like, yeah, I can willpower through it and figure it out, that's only going to be half the battle. You kind of need to figure out the psychology side of it, and then also figure out if there's like chemical dependence, or even if it's not necessarily something that's giving you something like vaping, like that obviously you get something in your body. If it's not a substance, if it's just like a habit, you're still probably getting some sort of, maybe it's a dopamine hit, maybe it lowers your cortisol levels when you go and do a particular routine.
Comfortable, right? You hear it all the time, comfort food, right?
Right.
In people that are very heavy, right? You hear it makes
figure out what it's giving you other than just routine.
Yeah, I don't know if I subscribe to the whole willpower argument. I don't know if that's it, because again, anytime I've seen people make meaningful change, it's almost always a function of rock bottom.
Yeah.
Where I think it might look like willpower is somebody's rock bottom is not as far as somebody else's bottom.
Yeah.
Right? In other words, like, oh, that's it, I've hit rock bottom. Meanwhile, somebody else would know, like, shoot, you ain't even close, right? Rock bottom for me would be way down here. Right.
It's like,
so it looks like
you had to rebuild the roof. I had to rebuild the foundation.
Right. So it might look to other people like, wow, they've got a really good willpower, but really for them it was kind of their rock bottom.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That's interesting.
Well, there's definitely an element to it, but we are also subject to a lot of influence. So
ridiculous amounts. I know this from watching the NFL this last thing. I was not even interested at all in pizza until the 5th ad came around. I'm like, you know what? I gotta order a freaking pizza. I need a pizza. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm like, and I already know. I'm like, this ad is trying to sell me stupid pizza.
Exactly.
I don't want it. But by the time it hit me the 5th time, I'm like, that's it. It looks too good. I need some pizza. Anyway.
And it doesn't take much, unfortunately.
I know, not really. Do you think people might cling to something that hurts them simply because it's familiar? Like we kind of dabbled on this before. Like is familiarity sort of a form of safety, even when it's damaging, kind of?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, we're still emotional creatures, and we still seek comfort. Especially because we live in a very uncomfortable world. No matter how privileged we are, we're always going to face that discomfort at some point. So yeah, and it can be something as simple as, oh, I know this isn't good for me, but this reminds me of a person that I lost, and that's all that I have left of them, and that's kind of their unhealthy mechanism of holding on to that.
Right.
There's various ways. Yeah.
Can someone learn to find comfort in the unfamiliar? I'm going to preface it this way. I'm just going to answer this. I don't know that they can. Maybe some people can, but I think they're very rare. People that can learn to find comfort in the unfamiliar. And here's why. I think as humans, we're just kind of designed to give preference over to certainty versus uncertainty.
Yeah.
I think we just hate uncertainty. That's why everybody tries to control everything. And so when the question is, can someone learn to find comfort in the unfamiliar? I suppose they can if they found a really good counselor, a really good psychologist. But I think generally we favor certainty so much over uncertainty. And I think that's part of the problem is like, even if you get up and you know that this is going to be a self-sabotaging day yet again, it's still your day that you know it inside and out. You know how to navigate it. There's nothing uncertain about it.
Right.
It may bring you pain, but you're still familiar with that pain, right?
Yeah, and you know how
and
to
I
kind
think
of
there's
figure it.
something, I don't know, comfortable about the familiar, even if it's damaging. I don't know how else to split that.
Yeah,
What do you
it's
think?
going to be different for everybody's psychology, but I think some people would like what's unfamiliar because they know that there's still a chance to influence it and they weren't going to be stuck doing the same thing. Like some people want to have a job where they don't know what they're going to get necessarily every day because it means they're not stuck doing the same thing over and over again and they can't stand that, like a desk job or something.
Right.
So I think in the unfamiliar, like I said, within reason, you know, and then I also think they find comfort in that because there's probably a lot of potential. So it's like, hey, I live in a van and I never
you
know.
found a way to find comfort in the unfamiliar. I like that.
Yeah,
That's a good way. That's good. I
some
didn't see
people
that.
do.
I think that's good. We'll close kind of with this, but just by the way, neither one of us are trained psychologists or counselors. We're just two people talking
This is
about
not medical advice.
Right. We're just right. We're just talking about self-sabotage because it seems so pervasive right now, just about everywhere. But in terms of breaking the pattern, like what's the first thing someone should do if they want to self-sabotage themselves? Like, do you think change starts with action or changing with how we see ourselves? What's kind of the smallest possible first step?
I think this starting to question how, like, what is it exactly that I want to change? It's kind of like a 12-step thing. It's like
Right, yeah.
you start to have self-reflection.
Right.
And then, yeah, and being willing to constantly keep poking at that and keep going after it because it's going to be one of those things that's probably really resilient. You're not going to get it right for a long time.
Very easy to step back into old patterns.
Right.
Super easy, yeah.
It's a big puzzle. It's going to take a lot. First, you got to start sorting out, okay, what do I have? Like, do I have a lot of pieces here that I can mess with? Yeah, you do. What is the picture that I'm looking at that I want to put together? And then, okay, how do I see what pieces I have? How do I categorize them? How do I start putting them together? How do I start building this framework? It's kind of like that. You got to start processing it one step at a time, and it's going to take you a lot of steps, a lot of putting things together, and you might get you're going to try a lot to put pieces together at first, and they're not going to fit, but it's like a puzzle. You kind of got to keep going and figuring it out. And
the question that as I wrote it down, those are good answers by the way, was again, do you think change starts with action or with changing how we see ourselves? My answer to that would be not too dissimilar from yours. I think it can be both.
Yeah.
Like, change, can it start with action? Absolutely. You start moving in one direction, you can get some momentum and change starts to happen.
Well, and it's
that's what happens.
To change the way you see yourself too than it is just action. And I think those overlap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to feel corny for a while, but go look in the mirror and start saying
positive affirmation.
Yeah, and it's gonna feel corny at first, but then it's like after some time you're gonna be like, yeah, you know what? I actually don't deserve to like feel like crap all the time.
Yeah, so I think it can be both. I think it could either start with action, and you are gaining momentum, and that lends itself to more action. You know, it's like babies. It's like starting any project, right?
Exactly.
The beginning of writing a book sucks, but once you write the first sentence, it's easier to get the first paragraph, and then the first chapter, right? And so it goes. And then changing how we see ourselves. Yeah, while it's not easy, if I got sick of feeling like crap one day, I'm like, you know what? I am a good person, and I am not gonna, be this way, or I want to be healthy, or I want to do this. I think that can be motivated. That in itself is an action that can. Anyway.
Well, and the more success you find, I think that will build the momentum. And at first, it kind of gets hard, or sometimes too, it's the opposite. It's kind of like exercise. At first, when you figure it out and you start seeing that change, you make a lot of change early on because you're doing something different, and then you kind of plateau. Then you're like, it's not working anymore, and then it gets hard to keep going. So it's all about you got to have some realistic expectations, but you have to keep trying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I just like to close with saying, like, self-sabotage can get very, very harmful and dysfunctional in some respects. And to those I say, do seek professional help, because nothing is hopeless, no case is hopeless, no person is hopeless, and help is available out there. Anyways, Jordan, thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
That was fun.